Hello everyone and welcome to the final episode in this series where I build a new case for my Eurorack modules. In the previous episode I have already covered the bus board, the wooden frame of the case, and now it's finally time to install the power supply. My approach here will be to use a distributed power system, where I first convert the mains voltage to 24 volt DC, and after that I will convert the 24 volt DC into plus minus 12 volt and 5 volt. This may seem a little bit overkill, and it's definitely not the cheapest solution. But since I will use a couple of DC-DC converter boards, it will give me a lot of flexibility in routing the power, and it will reduce interference between the different power sections. Alright, the conversion from 220 volt AC mains voltage to 24 volt DC is done by a regular mean-well switch mode power supply. I have selected the LRS150-24 for this task, but we will come back to that a little bit later in the video. The most interesting part here is of course the DC-DC board that converts the 24 volt DC into 3 voltages that we need in our Eurorack system. Plus 12 volt, minus 12 volt and plus 5 volt. Let's have a quick look at the schematic diagram. The design is built around isolated DC-DC power modules, one for each output voltage. And I have chosen power modules from the Chinese manufacturer Highlink. This is a quite common part, so there are a lot of second source alternatives as well. The 5 volt power module costs around $5 and the 12 volt power module costs around $10. And you will need a PCB and some filter components and connectors. So the total cost will land around $30, which isn't too bad. On the other hand, if you select power modules from brands like Traco or Recom, you will have to pay at least 5 times that. So, what's the catch? On paper they look very similar and have roughly the same efficiency and ratings. The big difference apart from brand recognition is that the more expensive modules will offer better EMC/EMI characteristics, reliability, and most important for our application, they will be able to drive a higher capacitive load on the output. These numbers are not shown in the spec summary, so you will have to dig into the datasheets to find them. If we make a quick comparison of a 12 volt DC TEN30 module from Traco, it will handle 3300 microfarad, but the Highlink module will only handle half of that, 1600 microfarad. If we follow the recommended design, we have a P-filter that uses two 100 microfarad capacitors, so we will only have 1400 microfarad left for our bus boards and modules. All the modules that I have designed, except for the output module, uses 10 microfarad as a bulk capacitor near the power connector. And it turns out that most of my other modules use between 10 and 22 microfarads. So with an average capacitive load of 15 microfarad per module, I will be able to feed around 90 modules without getting into trouble. Each of my bus boards have 21 positions, so this will give me at least 4 bus boards, which equals 84 power connections. But now the current limit of the power module kicks in, since 84 modules that draw 50 mA each will consume 4.2 amps, and we can only supply 2.5 amps on the 12 volt rail. I have found out that the number that works best for the modules I have is that I use 3 DC-DC boards that each power 2 bus boards. I will not fit the 100 microfarad capacitors on the bus board. This compromise will give me some margins on both maximum current load and maximum load capacitance. Each 4 HP module can have an average capacitive load of 33 microfarad and the average current consumption can be 60 mA. One more note about the output power. If you take the maximum output power of the 3 DC-DC boards and take the 91 efficiency from the power modules into account, you will end up with a maximum power of 230 watts, which is way more than the 150 watt mean-well power supply can provide. But I believe that I will never max out all the DC-DC boards, so I'm fine with that. 150 watt goes a long way. And if I run into problems later, I can always upgrade to a 200 watt SMPS. When I ordered the PCBs, I didn't include a stencil, because I thought that hand soldering a handful of inductors should be a piece of cake. But it turned out that the 0805 sized beads on the secondary side were really difficult to solder. So I had to go for soldering paste anyway. Applying the paste using a toothpick was really difficult, and I had to work off camera to clean up the mess. So a stencil is highly recommended if you're going to build this. But eventually I could mount the surface mount components and use my hotbed to reheat the solder paste. Next we can move on to the through-hole components. There are not a lot of through-hole components on this board, just a couple of capacitors, the power module themselves, and screw terminal connectors. Alright, with all three of them done, we are ready to move on to the next stage. And that is to 3D print a lot of mounting plates and anchors for the zip ties. All this stuff is needed for the assembly of the case. I will use white PTG filament for all the 3D printed parts. The 3D printing took a while, but now I have collected all the material that I will need. So let's start with assembling the power section in the case. The mains power supply is placed on the back panel of the case. There's a lot of room at the bottom of the case, but I didn't want to place it there since I'm concerned about dropping a panel screw or a cable, and that could go through the mesh cover and get in contact with the high voltage parts. So placing it on the back panel seems a little bit safer. Next we need to place the DC-DC boards and bus boards and line them up so we can interconnect them using as short cables as possible. Mounting the bus boards was a bit tricky, since I used two separate mounting plates for each bus board. I had to use some masking tape to hold them in place while I was screwing them to the back panel. Before we proceed, I would like to mention that building a case with an internal mains power supply requires knowledge about hazardous voltages, and there are different regulations or code in different regions. What works for my region may not be applicable for your region, and you cannot trust that the component manufacturers will help you. In the previous episode I showed a power outlet that I bought for this case, and it came with attached cables and shrouds that was too loose, so I had to fix those using some shrink tube. The other end of the cable had tinned ends, which of course looks nice, but it's not allowed to connect tinned cables to screw terminals. The reason is that metal expands and shrinks due to temperature, and a tinned cable will change its shape due to cold flow. So at some point the connection will get loose and give not only an unreliable connection, it can also generate arcs and high temperature, leading to melted insulation and possibly fire. So because of this I will use cable crimp ferrules to collect the braids of the cable and make a reliable connection whenever I use screw terminals. Okay, with the mains connections in place, it's time to move on to the 24-volt DC distribution to the DC-DC boards. The cables are secured using the 3D printed zip tie anchors that I screw into the wooden frame. I prefer these instead of the ones with double-sided adhesive tape. And now it's finally time to attach the mains cable and turn on the power supply for the first time. The green power OK LED on the Meanwell power supply is lit, and I made a measurement with a multimeter off camera. And everything works just fine. Next step is to connect the DC-DC boards with the bus boards using short pieces of wire. I use the same color coding for the cables as I use for the LEDs. Green is plus 12 volt, yellow is minus 12 volt, and red is 5 volt. The final part in this build is a 3D printed protective cover that I place over the screw terminals of the Meanwell power supply, just to protect it from access. Imagine that you drop something into the case and without thinking reaches into it while it's powered and touches the main terminals. That can be very unpleasant. Alright, so this is what the final product looks like. So with this, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have found this case building episodes interesting and useful. Take care, and I'll see you soon again.